This is model NV752. It's a bagless upright with HEPA filtration. It's got a 30-foot power cord, which is a respectable length for an upright. It has a motor-driven brush bar, which you'd expect in a vacuum of this size. It also weighs in the neighborhood of about 15.5 pounds. It's not too heavy. It's not a particularly light machine either. Today we're going to run it through its paces and take a look at some of the features of the vacuum. The vacuum comes with a host of accessories and tools which we've laid out here. Here we've got the dusting genie, which is essentially a crevice tool with an extendable brush on it. We've got the pet upholstery tool, and you can see the red velvet strips on the top and the bottom. Those help ensure you don't mar or mark your upholstery. This is a dusting brush, which is good for doing hard surfaces and upholstery as well. There's the True Pet motorized brush. Now it's a heavier tool because indeed it does have a motor in it. It's good for pet hair, obviously, and also for loose debris and stuff on upholstery and on other surfaces. It's also got a suction release on the top in case the suction's a little too powerful. This is what's known as the hard floor genie. And it's an interesting tool. It's got a suction channel in the front and an area for a microfiber pad here. And the microfiber pad comes with the vacuum cleaner, and it's pretty easy to install. You put it on, it's got a couple of tabs that reach over and attach to a Velcro strip that's on top of the device here. So it goes on pretty easy, and there you go, you've got a nice soft dusting pad. You don't want to use this on a wet surface, or you don't want to dampen the cloth or anything. It's for dry only. And when you're finished with it, it's machine washable, and it comes off again pretty easy. All of these things fit into the bag, nicely provided by Shark. It's an accessory bag. Over here is something called the canister caddy. This is the unit that converts the upright vacuum into a canister vacuum, and we'll show you how that works a little later on. Probably one of the most interesting aspects of this vacuum cleaner is its ability to operate as an upright, a canister, and to some extent a handheld vacuum. And here we can see it in upright mode. We can step it down, and you can see how it works. The nozzle is quite maneuverable. However, we notice that it does feel a little top-heavy, and you can see why. And we do wonder if that wouldn't cause a bit of wrist strain over time. However, we read a lot of consumer reviews, and we have yet to see anybody really complaining about that. So perhaps it's something you get used to over time. Now, putting the vacuum into canister mode is quite easy. There's a lift-away button here. We depress this button, and the assembly of the dust canister and motor simply comes out, and it fits onto our canister caddy. Clicks in, and that's it. And you've essentially got a canister vacuum, and you can go ahead, operate it like so. Tags along behind you like a canister vacuum. Is it as good as a vacuum that's designed to be a canister? Perhaps not quite as mobile. A little bit top heavy maybe, but it seems to work fine. Now in handheld mode, it essentially involves just pulling the lift away button, pushing it again, and you can lift the assembly away. You don't need this. And what you have at this point is a vacuum you can essentially walk around with. Now you may not want to use the full vacuum nozzle here, and so you can go ahead and, let's say, put a tool onto the vacuum handle. Now this makes it's a great little tool for doing stairs and a few things like that. In addition, the tools, they fit onto not only the end of the handle, they also fit onto the wand. So we can take the wand here, there's another button, releasing the wand, goes onto the handle, and we can go ahead and put the tool onto the end of that. So now we have a much longer reach, more comfortable, and you can still walk around with this unit. putting everything back together is also very easy. Once you figure out where all the buttons and things are, we can put the nozzle back on the end of this thing. We'll stand it up, and then the assembly, that's it, and you're back in your upright mode. The vacuum handle here has several controls on it. Here is your basic on-off, which is very conveniently located. Here you have brush bar controls, or brush roll, some people prefer to call it that. The bottom here is hard floor. Now what that means is that the roll in the main nozzle, the bottom of the vacuum, it won't spin on hard floor. That ensures that there's no scattering of debris when you're using it, and it also ensures that it's not scuffing hard floor. Some hardwood surfaces can actually get scuffed by if your brush roll is spinning. Second up here is low pile carpet, and that's a very short carpet, and that'll start the brush roll spinning. And we move it up to the top. This setting is called thick carpet and area rugs. Now the brush bar continues to spin here, but what happens is it opens these side vents, and it helps to reduce the suction at the main nozzle, which allows you to still move the vacuum across thick carpet and also to vacuum area rugs without pulling them up. Now down on the main nozzle of the vacuum cleaner, you'll see the brush bar in here, and I've actually added a neat little feature which is a clear window, so you can see, for example, if anything's gotten raveled up or tied up in there. There's also a brush roll indicator light here which turns green to tell you when the brush roll's spinning. Now an interesting feature here is no matter what setting I have on the handle, this brush roll is not going to spin when the vacuum's in an upright position like this, and that ensures that you don't stop the vacuum with the brush roll spinning and, for example, burn your carpet. So now I'll turn the vacuum on. You'll see, not only will you see the bright headlights across here, but you'll notice that the brush roll, no matter what my setting is here on the handle, will not spin. Now I've got the setting on low pile carpet. As I tilt the vacuum back, you'll notice that the brush bar kicks in and the light here will go on. And again, it turns itself off as soon as I tilt the vacuum into the upright position. Now we're going to run the vacuum through a few tests. And what we have here are colorful Fruit Loops. They've been ground up, some of them, so there's like a fine powder as well as some fairly large pieces. In addition, we're going to run the machine beside a Dyson DC65. You know, sometimes just that comparison is really a helpful thing to look at. And the NV752 is often compared to the Dyson. So we're just going to do one pass, and we'll just see how these things perform. So first off, let's take a look at the Dyson. Okay, you see it left some debris behind. Now let's turn on the Shark. It's quite a bit quieter, it seems, off the bat, and the Shark is also on low pile carpet setting. Well, they both left a bit of debris behind. Now if we want to take a closer look, you can see this is the debris left behind by the Shark. And we'll move over, we'll take a quick look at the debris field of the Dyson. And the Dyson does look like it left a little bit more behind. Now we'll run this on carpet and pick up as much as we can. What we've got are we've got the Fruit Loops again, that some of which have been ground up. We've got some pumpkin seeds. We've got some darker lentils. Let's just see how it works. The vacuum was set on low pile. Seems to have done a good job. Of course, you have to move it back and forth over the same spot several times, but of course, that's also extremely heavy debris. Seems to work pretty well.
Now we're going to measure some noise levels. Noise level is an issue for some people. We're going to do a comparison again, the DC65 and the Shark. What we've got is a digital sound level meter set up 3 feet away from the vacuums. Each vacuum will be tested with the brush bar off and then with the brush bar on. We'll record the decibels and we'll let you know the results. Okay, the DC65 with the brush bar off is 75.3 decibels. The Shark, by comparison, is only 73.9 decibels. With the brush bar on, the DC65 was 80.6 decibels. The Shark, with the brush bar on, was 78.6 decibels.
Now we're going to do a few quick suction power tests. We've brought out the Shark, the Dyson again, DC65. We've also brought out an LG LUV250C. The idea behind that is that the Shark and the Dyson are fairly powerful vacuums. The LG LUV250C is something of an average bagless upright, so we thought we'd test that as well, just to give you a comparison. So first, let's start with the Dyson. We have a vacuum gauge here, and we've had to tape it onto the end of the Dyson hose because the hose is a little bit irregular, but let's get on with it, see what kind of power we get out of this. Okay, that spikes up to about 26 kilopascals. Now let's take a look at our Shark. It fits nicely onto the end of the handle here. We don't need any tape for this one. Okay, we're up at around 24 for the Shark. And now we'll take a look at the LG just for comparison. Over here. So we're seeing about 9.5 on the LG, although I can tell there's actually suction leaks around the hose near where it enters the vacuum, and so it's probably not as well sealed as these two, but it certainly produces less suction. Emptying the dust cup is similar to that of other bagless vacuums. There are two buttons that you squeeze here, and they're labeled dust cup release. Comes away really easily. At the bottom, there's a button that will open up the bottom door, if you will, and we do that, and you put that into the dustbin, close it up again, and it fits back on pretty quickly. Now we'll see how the vacuum performs on pet hair. This is white dog hair. As you can see, we've put it on the carpet and ground it into the best of our ability, jumping up and down on it, walking back and forth on it. We'll have the carpet set, or we'll have the vacuum set to low pile carpet. Let's see how it performs. Well, it made very short work of that. Now we're going to take a look at the cleaning ability of the True Pet motorized brush. We've attached it here to the end of the handle. We've got more ground-in pet hair and a few other odds and ends. Now typically you probably wouldn't be using this on your main area of carpet, or at least an area that you could go over with the machine, but this will give you an idea of the cleaning ability of this motorized tool. Now it does a pretty good job. It takes a lot more back and forth than it does with the vacuum cleaner itself. With a tool driven by suction, typically you won't get the same kind of deep cleaning, but like we said, this one has a motor in it. Now one thing we noticed after that exercise is actually the amount of hair that gets caught up in the brush roll here, and also in this unit as well. So after cleaning your dog hair or your cat hair or whatever, you would have to go in and do a cleanup because it really gets tangled in there. Now another thing to look at is how close to the baseboards does the vacuum get when you're vacuuming. Now that worked really well. It was up tight against the baseboards. But looking at the underside of the nozzle, we can see that this right side of the vacuum is going to clean up much tighter to the baseboards than the left side. So let's see how the left side performs. Well, we've got to go over it a couple more times, but still it performs admirably. The vacuum has 3 filters. There's 2 pre-motor filters and 1 post-motor filter. Very easy to access. Take the dust cup off. Here's the foam filter. This can be rinsed in water when it's dirty, and when it's completely dry, put back in. Felt filter, same thing. Rinse it. When it's dry, put it back in the machine. Those are the 2 pre-motor filters. Again, really easy to access. The post-motor filter is a HEPA filter, and it's down here. There's a little switch in the bottom. You press, cover comes off, and here's the pleated HEPA filter. This can also be rinsed and probably needs to be, cleaned about once a year. And when it's rinsed and dried, you can just pop it back in the machine, get the cover back on, and that's it. It really comes together very easily. The other thing I should mention is this vacuum has a sealed system. Now that means that the air entering the vacuum is forced to go through the entire filtration system before it's exhausted from the machine. And that ensures that your allergens and things are caught by your filtration system and that the air exiting the vacuum is quite clean. A lot of other vacuums without a sealed system, what happens is the air enters into the vacuum, comes up out of the carpet or whatever you're cleaning. It enters into the vacuum, but a lot of it leaks out. It leaks out through poor seals in the vacuum body or poor connections, for example, around the hose or something. And that way you're not getting a really clean air coming out of the vacuum. In summary, there's a number of things we like about the Shark NV752 and a few things we didn't like. So what did we like? The machine's very ergonomic. Switches and buttons are easy to use and they're all in intuitive places. Things come apart very easily and they go back together very easily. Comes with a lot of attachments, which is really handy. The lift-away feature itself is great. It's easy to use and it's effective. There's good pickup on both carpet and bare floors, and it does pull up pet hair well. The machine also has strong suction, which we saw on the vacuum gauge. It's quieter than the Dyson DC65. Having said that, though, it's probably, I wouldn't really say that this is a particularly quiet vacuum. The dust canister is easy to empty, and it comes with a sealed system. The hose and the handle provide about 8 feet of cleaning reach. You've got a 30-foot power cord, which is nice and long. And finally, there's easy maintenance with this machine, and there's little to replace. The filters are all washable. The lights, which there's a light in the handle here, lights in the nozzles, all the bulbs last the lifetime of a vacuum. The machine has a belt, but that also lasts the lifetime of the vacuum, and it's a bagless machine, so there's no bags to buy. So what didn't we like? The machine feels a bit heavy on the wrist when in upright mode and you're trying to turn it. Now that's because of this bolt here a little bit, and you can feel that when you're trying to change direction of the vacuum. The canister feature as well, we found that a bit clumsy. It's probably not something we'd use very often. And we also saw with dealing with the pet hair, well, it pulls everything up. With long pet hair, you've got to really clean out the brush bar afterwards. You probably wouldn't have to do that if you're dealing with a shorter pet hair. Now, we didn't test the hard floor Genie, but a number of owners have reported that it has adequate performance, but nothing special. So, now, this machine will cost you between $300 and $350, depending on which retailer you go to. In our mind, for what you get, it's a reasonable price. It also carries a 7-year warranty, which is really quite long for an upright. It kind of puts it in the territory of a German-made Miele, for example. Now, we were really impressed overall with the Shark NV752. It's on our website, we have rated this machine 94 out of 100, and it's made our list of the best uprights. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll hope to see you again soon.